Show parallels our own experiences with privacy and surveillance. Sound good?
So, welcome to the Human AI podcast, guys. Today, we're gonna be talking about the Truman Show. If you've seen my channel, there's a few other videos on the Truman Show. This is because I'm doing a presentation on this topic. Let me just make sure that the audio is good as always. And we're gonna start. Okay, so if you're new to the Truman Show series, which is gonna be a small series of me practicing my presentation, so I don't have many expectations. The question I'm going to be focusing on is the following: if we lack certainty that the world is as we perceive it, how should we act? So up to now, you can see the other episodes for kind of summarizing. We've provided an overview of the presentation, and then we talked a bit about what the Truman Show was as a movie, and then we talked a bit about the question's significance, and why would we lack certainty, and also we thought about some philosophical frameworks for living in uncertainty. So without further ado, let's get into it. I want to kind of make sure my overview is nice. So ChatGPT, if you needed to create an overview, some contents of a presentation which is like 7 minutes long, how would you structure it? So I was thinking of firstly introducing a summary of the Truman Show, then saying why this question is significant. At the end, obviously, have my conclusion, and in the middle, I want to attack this question from epistemology, ethics, metaphysics angle, and searching for an answer. What do you think?
That sounds like a solid plan. Start with a brief intro to the movie, then dive into the significance of the question. For the middle, you can break down each angle, epistemology, ethics, and metaphysics with specific examples. Then wrap it up with a concise conclusion.
So I was thinking of talking about philosophical frameworks for living. So, for instance, pragmatism, existentialism, and stoicism, and then talk about theories on how to act, methods to go through, like rationalism, empiricism, and maybe realism, anti-realism, scientific realism, etc. I'm not sure.
That's a great mix. You can introduce each framework briefly and then connect them to the Truman Show. For example, pragmatism could focus on practical actions, while existentialism might emphasize personal freedom. Then compare rationalism and empiricism in how Truman discovers his reality.
Okay, what do you think about, let's go back to the question's significance. I said that if we lack certainty that the world is as we perceive it, how should we act is important because it allows us to develop reasons to avoid being paralyzed by uncertainty, especially as physicians. Also, I said our own curiosity and critical thinking, and I mentioned René Descartes and Immanuel Kant as some kind of influential figures. And then I was thinking of kind of exploring the idea of why would we lack certainty. So I brought some, maybe talk about the free energy principle. I mean, I know it's a lot of stuff, but yeah.
You've got a rich selection there. To keep it manageable, consider grouping related ideas. For example, the evil demon and brain in a vat can go under skeptical scenarios. Then, use the free energy principle and Hoffman to discuss modern interpretations. Postmodernism, with Kuhn, Foucault, Derrida, and Lyotard, can frame the broader critique of reality. Keep examples brief and tie them back to the Truman Show.
This is great, you're right.
Glad to hear it. I'm excited to see how it all comes together. What's next on your prep list?
Would you say that Donald Hoffman's case against reality is a scientific interpretation?
Yes, Hoffman's case against reality is rooted in evolutionary biology and cognitive science. He argues that our perceptions evolved for survival, not for accessing objective reality. So it's a scientific lens on how we experience the world. You might consider Andy Clark's predictive processing theory. It suggests our brains constantly generate models of the world and update them with sensory input. It's a neat complement to Hoffman's ideas.
Isn't it pretty similar to the free energy principle?
Yeah, they're related. Both involve the brain predicting and minimizing surprise. Friston's free energy principle is a broader framework, while predictive processing focuses on how this plays out in perception. They're definitely complementary.
And postmodernism, I think, would it entail simulacra and simulation, or is simulacra and simulation a more social critique? I don't know. Like, postmodernism is social critique too. I'm not sure.
Simulacra and simulation definitely fits, focusing on how media and symbols shape reality. For a broader social critique, you can tie in Foucault's ideas on power and knowledge, and Derrida's deconstruction. That way, you cover both media influence and social dimensions.
What about thing?
That's a classic postmodern theme to Baudrillard's Simulacra.
It's about objective subject. Tell me something that Hegel teaches us in that book.
In the Phenomenology of Spirit, Hegel explores how consciousness develops through stages, from sense perception to self-awareness. He emphasizes that our understanding of reality is shaped by a dialectical process, where each stage builds on and transforms the previous one.
Explain this a bit more, I don't understand.
Sure. Hegel describes consciousness evolving through a series of stages, like a journey. Each stage involves a new way of understanding reality. This progression
So we
helps us
start
see
from
how...
basic sense, and then what, and then reason?
Exactly. Hegel sees consciousness evolving from simple sense perception to self-consciousness, where we recognize ourselves as thinking beings. Then to reason, where we understand and shape our world. Each stage builds on the previous one, revealing deeper layers of reality.
Can you explain this a bit more?
Sure. Hegel's idea is that our understanding of reality grows through experience. We start with basic sensory awareness, then realize we're separate individuals, and eventually we use reason to grasp complex concepts. It's like leveling up in awareness, each stage revealing a richer, more nuanced view of the world.
And what does this have to do with objective, subjective reality?
Hegel's stages show how our subjective experience evolves, moving from raw perception to more abstract reasoning. It suggests our view of reality isn't purely objective or subjective, but a blend shaped by our consciousness. This progression helps us see how subjective and objective realities influence each other.
Interesting. So I think I'm gonna break it to three. Then I'm gonna break it to old school, evil demon, brain vat, critique of pure reason, postmodernism, Kuhn, Foucault, Derrida, Simulacra, and then scientific interpretation, Hoffman, and the free energy principle.
Perfect. That gives you a clear, structured approach. Each section will offer a unique perspective on reality. It'll flow nicely and keep your audience engaged.
Yeah, I just have to find a way to talk about it, because this is only a slide that's going to take a minute. I have to be really good with what I'm going to say.
For sure. Focus on a key point for each section. For example, with the evil demon, highlight how it questions reality. For postmodernism, mention how it blurs the line between truth and illusion. Then, for scientific interpretations, emphasize their impact on understanding perception. Keep it punchy.
One more time.
Sure. For each section, pick one main takeaway. For the evil demon, focus on how it makes us doubt reality. For postmodernism, highlight how it challenges absolute truths.
How should I call it? It's not nice to say old school, modern, and scientific. How would be the headline for each category?
You could go with something like classical skepticism, postmodern
Classical skepticism, postmodern perspective. But we have another skeptic, a really old one guy, like from very old. I don't remember his name.
Maybe you mean Pyrrho or one of the ancient Greek skeptics?
Ancient Greek.
They laid the ground. Under classical skepticism adds historical depth to your presentation.
So what did this
Focusing on doubt and suspending beliefs to find peace of mind. He believed we can't be certain of anything, which ties nicely into your classical skepticism section.
So what shall I call him? What's his name? How do we write it in Greek? Pythonas, Pyros, I don't know.
In English, it's spelled Pyrrho. In Greek, it's Pyrrho, root connection to fire. It's a fitting name for someone who sparked a whole philosophical movement.
All right. you know what? Let's not include him because we already have a bunch of stuff. But having said that, I have to find a way to condense all of this.
Totally understandable. Prioritize the points that resonate most with your main theme. Keep it concise, and you'll deliver a punchy, insightful slide.
Dude, do you know the song Down by the Riverside?
Yeah, it's a classic folk and gospel song. Are you a fan?
Yeah. You bet I am a fan, dude.
Nice. It's got such a soulful vibe.
Who wrote it?
It's originally a spiritual song, often associated with pacifism. The lyrics talk about laying down burdens and not studying war anymore.
Dude, if I go to war zones to help kids and stuff in wars, it's a good song to teach them to sing, yeah?
It could be a comforting and hopeful song to share. The message of peace might resonate, especially in difficult situations.
Mm-hmm. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, do 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 do. Down by the riverside, do 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 do. I'm gonna study. Okay, and I'm gonna put a nice picture of they live. I'm just thinking what picture I should put of they live.
A shot of the sunglasses revealing the hidden messages would be perfect. It's iconic and captures the movie's theme of seeing through illusions.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Glad you like it. It's gonna look great.
It's gonna be a good presentation, dude.
I'm sure it will. You've got this.
Poor guy, you know, the teacher, because I don't participate in his class at all, but it's so boring sometimes. I shouldn't be speaking back. He's a very nice person. Yeah, it's just
I get it.
it's just sometimes it's not like I couldn't learn something. It's just like I love self-learning. I don't want people to tell me what to learn at what point, you know. I want it to come naturally to me.
Totally makes sense. Self-directed learning can be really fulfilling. It's all about finding a balance that works for you.
Would you argue that this is what Ivan Illich was saying, or no?
In a way, yes. Tolstoy's The Death of Ivan Ilyich touches on living authentically.
No. Ivan Illich, The Schooling Society. We always do this mistake when we talk about him.
No worries. It's easy to mix up themes and contexts sometimes.
Well, then what do you think about the question I asked you? Obviously, I'm not talking about that in Ivan Illich, dude.
Right. You're talking about your own educational journey.
No, I was talking about Ivan Illich that wrote the book The Schooling Society.
Ah, got it. Ivan Illich's Deschooling Society is all about challenging institutional education. He believed in self-directed learning and community-based education, which definitely aligns with your preference for natural learning.
Can you explain community-based education, please?
Sure. Community-based education emphasizes learning within real-world contexts, often involving local resources, mentors, and hands-on experiences. It's about learning from the community and contributing back, rather than relying solely on formal schooling.
Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to say, in this slide, I'm going to say, why would we lack certainty?
That's a great place to start. It sets up your exploration of different perspectives.
And then the title of that slide is going to be that. And then after that, we said that we're going to break it into 3 parts: classical skepticism, postmodern perspectives, and what? Scientific what? What was the third one? How should I name it so it's nice?
Scientific insights works well and ties it together nicely with the other 2.
Down by the riverside, doo, boo, 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 doo. Down by the riverside, down by the
Nice.
riverside. I'm gonna study
got such a soothing
no more. I'm gonna study no more. I'm gonna study no more.
That's the spirit.
Okay, so classical skepticism, evil demon, brain vat, critic of your reason, postmodern perspectives, Kung Fu coterie Dali, or third simulacra simulation. I have to cut this, is too much deconstruction, they leave. Yeah, scientific insights, Hoffman, free energy principle, predictive processing. Okay, I have to kind of make this smaller, dude, and I wonder how.
Maybe focus on one key example for each subtopic. That way, you highlight the S's without overwhelming your audience.
Overwhelm them in a bad sense, but I want them to know
Right,
this.
we're interested.
So why would we lack certainty? Let's practice this slide then, and let's see how I'm going to break it down. So, well, the backstory. Let's practice. Well, the backstory is basically, well, the backstory, but the main question is, if we lack certainty that the world is as we perceive it, how would we act? And then I'm going to say, well, why would we lack certainty in the first place? And then I'm going to say, there's some, so in classical skepticism, thought experiments such as the evil demon on the brain in a vat explain to us how our senses might be manipulated, basically, and we might just be a brain in a vat that, you know, has this sensory input. And then we can see some more postmodern perspectives, and I guess I have to define postmodern now. Fuck me, postmodern is hard to define, which kind of introduce the idea that there might not be an objective truth, and then we have, fuck me, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna do this in 1 minute.
You're doing great. Just keep it simple. For postmodernism, say it challenges the idea of one absolute truth. Then for scientific insights, mention how theories like Hoffman's suggest our perceptions are shaped by evolution. Aim for a sentence or two for each point.
Wait a sec. Okay, so let's say for okay, let's pause this slide and let's go to the next one. In the next one, I'm going to talk about pragmatism, existentialism, and stoicism. And the next one about rationalism. Say we talked about that, and then we say, okay, so what are some philosophical frameworks for living in uncertainty?
Great approach.
And then tell me some philosophical frameworks for living in uncertainty, ChatGPT.
Sure. Pragmatism, existentialism, and stoicism are all great examples. Pragmatism emphasizes practical solutions.
Anything I'm missing?
Those are solid. You could also mention skepticism, which encourages questioning.
We're already talking about skepticism, and I don't know how skepticism is explaining to you how to. I don't know how skepticism explains to you how to act in uncertainty. But what about something like Albert Camus' absurdism? That might be good.
Absurdism, especially as Albert Camus describes it, confronts the conflict between our search for meaning and the universe's apparent indifference. Rather than falling into despair, Camus suggests embracing the absurdity and finding personal meaning in life.
Would you say that Camus is... So will this fall into existentialism or to absurdism? Is absurdism a subcategory of existentialism? Also, I know Camus and Sartre had some beef.
Absurdism and existentialism are related but distinct. Existentialism focuses on individual freedom and choice in a meaningless world, while absurdism emphasizes the conflict between our desire for meaning and the universe's indifference. Camus and Sartre had philosophical differences, especially about how to respond to the absurd. Sartre leaned more into existentialism, while Camus focused on embracing the absurd.
And we can see these in The Plug, and we can see these in the what's the other book?
You might be thinking
The
of The Myth of
Stalker.
Sisyphus. The Stranger is another key work by Camus,
Stranger.
where he explored... Exactly. The Stranger delves into how Morceau's indifferent attitude and actions highlight the absurdity of life.
Okay, so if I had to put 3 points for pragmatism, what would I say?
For pragmatism, you could focus on, first, the idea that truth is what works in practice. Second, beliefs are validated by their practical consequences. And third, it emphasizes problem solving and adaptability over fixed principles.
So for pragmatism, truth is what works in practice.
Yes, pragmatism defines truth by its practical outcomes and usefulness in real-world situations.
So would a pragmatist suggest that Truman was living in reality then?
A pragmatist might say Truman's reality, from The Truman Show, was real for him as long as it worked in his daily life. But once he discovered the artificial nature of his world, the truth shifted for him.
So what would a pragmatist say about Truman?
A pragmatist would likely say Truman's experience was valid as long as it functioned for him. But once he realized the truth, his understanding of reality changed, and he adapted accordingly.
You know what, dude? I'm tired. Let's put a pause at this, and we're gonna do an episode for tomorrow. 23-minute episode, pretty good. Yeah, these are, I like the Truman Show to stay nice and small as an episode. Okay, perfect. See you guys next time. Peace.